Hi there, I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your host for today's edition of The Night Sky This Week. Welcome to everyone around the world, wherever you're watching from. I'm so happy you could join me for a few moments out of your day today. I'm talking to you live from Montreal, Canada. It's very cold and cloudy today, sub-zero temperatures. Lots of snow on the ground, but that still doesn't stop me from planning out what kind of neat events there are in the night sky every week. I just love sharing my passion for the universe, the cosmos, and all the wonderful things that you can see with your naked eye, binoculars, and telescopes wherever you are. I've got the comments open. I see people putting in their locations, saying hi from all across the world, whether it's in North America, Europe, Africa, Asia. Love to hear what you're watching. Let me know in the comments also what you have been actually watching. Has something in the night sky caught your attention particularly? Have you been looking through your telescope at certain things? I'd love to hear what you have been up to. Let's dive right into the night sky. I've got the planetarium program all opened up here. Here we are. This is the evening sky for Monday, February 7th. And this is our first Monday of the month. It's a shortened month, but it's a good transitional month in terms of moving from our one season to another season in terms of the types of constellations that are and stars that are visible in the skies. So something really cool right off the bat, of course, if you haven't had a chance, take a look at Jupiter. We're kind of in the last days of hurrah for Jupiter being visible in our evening skies. It's getting closer and closer to the sun, and it's going to be in conjunction with the sun very soon. And so if you haven't gotten a chance to see it, this is pretty much the last few days you can catch it. It's visible very low in the western horizon in the evening, very soon after your sunset. So you have a small window of opportunity, probably about a half hour, 45 minutes after sunset, to really catch that view of Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system. And as you can see in this particular animation right here, you can see that is Aquarius, the water bearer constellation, a zodiacal constellation in which Jupiter is residing right now as we speak. So if we kind of pull up the sky a little bit, you'll notice if I take a kind of a wider field of view, you'll notice right up in the southwest, very high up, is a really thick crescent moon. Actually, it's almost a quarter moon, and I'll just zoom on it in here, and that's in the constellation, another zodiacal constellation, Aries, the Ram. And you can see that is where this beautiful moon is. And of course, how far away is the moon? Everyone always wants to know. It's exactly 393,281 kilometers away, and it takes light 1.3 seconds to reach your eye from the moon. It's a waxing crescent moon. It's almost 7 days old, 6.8 days to be exact. And one thing you'll notice very close to the moon tonight, Monday, February 7th, is a green dot. Now, you'll need a telescope or binoculars, which should do. You'll have that very bright glare of the moon, but next to it will be this green faint dot. That is planet Uranus. Believe it or not, planet Uranus is visible if you know exactly where and when to look. And of course, the moon is going to be a wonderful guidepost for finding this elusive planet. Now, Uranus shines at magnitude 5.8. That makes it technically visible to the naked eye, but you'd have to be in a very dark sky, no moon, to be able to have a chance of spotting Uranus with the naked eye. It's possible, but it's not easy. It's quite a challenge. But the moon being right next to it will make it much easier to track down. And if you have binoculars or a telescope, you'll be able to see it clearly. And if you have those optical equipments, tonight's a great night to do that. I mean, if you haven't had a chance to see Uranus, it's a wonderful opportunity to do just that because the moon is so close. And look at that, the distance of Uranus. Look at the vast difference between the moon and Uranus. They look like they're so close together, don't they? But of course, that's an optical illusion, isn't it? Because Uranus is so much farther away. In fact, it is 2.96 billion kilometers away from Earth. That's right, almost 3 billion, nearly 3 billion kilometers away from us. It's so far away, it takes light 164 minutes to reach your eye from Uranus. And remember, Uranus is a planet, right? So Uranus isn't producing its own light, right? Just like the moon, it reflects the sunlight. The same sun that shines on us here on our planet is shining on the cloud tops of Uranus. And those methane-filled cloud tops that gives it that very distinguished kind of greeny blue color, that is reflecting off, that sunlight reflects off those cloud tops, and we see it 164 minutes later after it left on its journey from the Uranus cloud tops. So it's just amazing, just hard to wrap your mind around the distances that we're talking about. But that's, again, this is what you're going to be seeing in the evening sky. Where is this? Remember, we're talking high up in the southwestern sky this evening. After sunset, wait until it gets dark. Wait about an hour, maybe an hour or 2 hours after darkness falls. You can see if I kind of magically go an hour later or 2 hours later, it's still up there in the western sky. So you have plenty of time after sunset to see it. And you want to see it when it gets dark enough. So there's no kind of light scattering in the atmosphere from the sunset. So it's as dark as possible. You'll have that bright glare of the moon, of course, but Uranus will be sitting right next to it. So that's basically in store for you tonight. But if we kind of magically go into the next day, let's say Tuesday, we're going to follow how the moon moves across the sky. Because again, the moon is a great guidepost for finding things. So by Tuesday night, the moon is going to be in that first quarter phase, and you'll see it parked in the constellation Taurus the Bull. So here you have Taurus, very bright wintertime constellation in the northern hemisphere, visible in the southern summertime for those of you in the southern hemisphere. And it will be parked fairly close to a beautiful star cluster. One of my favorites, we talk a lot about it. It's M45, but it's also popularly known as the Pleiades cluster or the Seven Sisters. You can see it right above there. I'm marking it right above the moon. We'll zoom in on it a little bit here. And it's just a beautiful, tight cluster, visible clearly with the naked eye as a fuzzy little patch of stars, even in suburban light-polluted conditions, you can see this beautiful clustering of stars, and that'll be just above the moon. Again, this is Tuesday, February 8th. And if we kind of move a little bit later in the week, again, Wednesday, pop it for the next day. So Wednesday night, February 9th, this is where the moon will be. Still in Taurus. Taurus is a big constellation. It takes a couple of days, a few days actually, 3 days for the moon to go through Taurus. And it's going to be very close to the face of the bull. And if you look closely, you'll notice that the moon is now going to be wedged in between Pleiades star cluster, which by the way is almost about 400 light years away. And then you've got Aldebaran, this brilliant orange star that marks the eye of the bull. Aldebaran Let me see if I can zoom in on it. You can see how close it actually marks the part of the face, the eye of the bull. And the entire face of the bull is marked by this V-shaped group of stars. Again, something very visible to the naked eye. If you have binoculars, you can really kind of look through this region of the sky very nicely. And Aldebaran is 66 light years away from us, but it marks kind of one side of the letter V formation, like a V formation of stars. And this V formation is known as the Hyades cluster. The Hyades cluster is actually these stars, except for Aldebaran, which doesn't belong to this cluster, but all the other parts, like this one down here and here and here, all of these that mark the V shape of the bovine are actually associated with each other. They were born together in its own cloud that produced a nebula. And here's a beautiful photograph showing a little bit of what it looks like. There's Aldebaran down at the bottom. The part of the V clusters you can see here and here. So all of these stars actually are associated with each other. And in fact, the Hyades cluster is considered one of the closest clusters of stars to Earth. In fact, it's only 147 light years away. So what you're looking at when you're seeing that face of the bull, that V shape, which we call the Hyades cluster, it's taken 147 years for that light from these stars to reach your eye. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful grouping of stars, and it's very easily visible. And if you're not sure where you're looking, use the moon as a guidepost on Wednesday, February 9th. So that is just something neat to be able to see. Then we move on to Thursday. Here we go. Thursday, the moon will now get brighter as more of its disk is being illuminated by the sun. Still in Taurus, wedged in between the horns of the bull, as you can see here, the two stars, one little blue star over here, you can see, and another blue star over here, a whitish blue star above the moon. It'll be right next to these, forming kind of like a triangle with these two stars that mark the tip of the horns of the bull. And then just above it is the constellation Auriga. And we talked about Auriga and its three beautiful star clusters, M37, M36, and M38, that are in the center of this kind of, it looks like a child's drawing of a house, I would say, kind of. That's the shape of the constellation itself, the bright stars that are. And it's kind of right in the middle of that, in the center of that house-shaped grouping of stars, that you'll find these clusters kind of wedged in. So it's really neat, and the moon acts as a wonderful guidepost. This will be on Thursday, February 10th, where the moon is. And then on Friday and Saturday, you can see the moon is traveling into the Gemini constellation. And you can see here, if I kind of move it around, we're talking, where are we? In the evening, again, this is Saturday, in the southeast part of the sky. That's where the moon is. Zooming in, there are the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux, and there's the moon, all wedged together. Really a fantastic sight. So the moon really kind of hops from one place to the next. And in fact, before I leave it, I think I'm going to just add one more thing. For those of you that do have a telescope and binoculars, but particularly telescopes, Friday, February 11th, the moon is going to be next to a cluster. Now, because it's a waxing gibbous moon, it's so bright and it's overwhelming in its brilliance, and it really doesn't show off deep sky objects that are close to it very well. But if you're kind of searching for where these deep sky objects are and you're not familiar with the sky, again, the moon can kind of give you hints of some of the beauty of these deep sky objects, because thanks to it being able to, you can kind of track it down easily. And if you see, there's M35 next to the moon. This is, again, Friday, February 11th. Okay, Friday, February 11th, the moon is going to be next to the star cluster M35. And M35 is a beautiful one, open. It's considered an open cluster, but it's 3,000 light years away. So the light takes 3,000 years to reach us. It's really incredible. And it's a group of about 60 stars. You can see it here in this photograph. It's this Beautiful clustering over here. This is another cluster also close by, but not as visible. But this one is just going to knock your eyes out. It's just so beautiful. If the moon wasn't there, it's a absolutely brilliant sight. And the moon will move off by next week. And you'll know where M35 is if you go out, where to find it in the sky. If you go out Friday, February 11th and look for the moon and see that in its glare through binoculars and telescopes, that beautiful star cluster. Now, before we leave the show for today, I wanted to also mention, let's go to now, and we're going to go into the morning skies, because I know some of you guys are morning sky watchers. And so this is what greets you this week in the skies, looking towards the southeast, about a half hour before your local sunrise. This is what you would see. And you can see, let me just make it a little darker here. And there you can see the sunrise, I should say, at dawn, just where the sun will rise over there. And then in the southeast is where you'll see brilliant Venus. I mean, it'll knock your eyes out. And then much fainter orange-colored Mars, and then little Mercury in that, embedded in the glare of the coming sunrise right there. That'll be the most challenging. You'll need a pair of binoculars to really pin that down, but you should still be able to see it with the naked eye. Mercury, all three of these planets in a beautiful triangular cluster. Again, anytime this week in the morning, if you get up and look outside about a half hour, 45 minutes before your local sunrise, this is what's going to greet you. It's just a beautiful sight. And what I want you to be able to know also is you may notice that Venus has been getting brighter and brighter, and that is real. It's actually reaching its maximum brilliance at magnitude 4.83, minus 4.83, really super bright for the entire year. This is the brightest it'll be in our morning skies. And it's just going to knock your eyes out how bright Venus appears. And Venus gets up, rises above the horizon a couple of hours before your sunrise locally. So you'll have a nice time before sunrise to get to see Venus. It's just fantastic. I don't want you to miss it. And of course, Venus is the second planet from the sun, and it is currently 56 million kilometers away, and it takes light from Venus 3.14 minutes to reach your eye. So just over 3 minutes it takes light to travel that distance from Venus. Fantastic stuff. And Mars is much farther away. You can see, and it's fainter because it is farther. It's on the other side of the sun from where we are, and therefore it's over 318 million kilometers away. That's the distance of Mars, and it takes almost 18 minutes. It's 17.7 minutes for the light to reach your eye from Mars. Compare that to 3 minutes only with Venus. So much closer. And of course, Venus is covered with bright clouds, and you can guess that's why, it's eternally enshrouded, Venus is. You can see in this close-up photograph from Mariner 10, but these light-colored clouds are very reflective on Venus, and therefore we get to see it so brilliantly in our skies. And if you have a telescope, well, then it gets pretty interesting, because here I'll zoom in and I'll mimic what a telescope could show you. Here we go. Look at that. It looks like a crescent moon, doesn't it? It really does. If you get to see this on high magnification, use eyepieces that give you that high magnification in your small backyard telescope, you can actually see Venus looking like this. And it's incredible that it looks like a little miniature moon. It's not something you expect when you see it with the naked eye as a brilliant star shining there, to actually look to see that it's a world unto its own, and it's visible to you with a simple small backyard telescope. You get to see that crescent shape. Just knock your eyes out. I'll tell you, and just understanding what you're looking at is another world nearly the same size as our own planet Earth. Just fantastic stuff in our skies this week, guys. I hope you get some clear skies to see some of these things, because they're just beautiful things and they're easy to spot. The moon is a great guidepost for finding things, star clusters to find their locations. Remember where those locations are, and you can go back once the moon has gotten out of that part of the sky where your star cluster is. you can go back and view it with binoculars and telescopes under dark sky conditions, and that's when they really shine amazing. So, something for everyone, I hope, for this week. Thank you so much for joining me again this week, just for a few moments. If you like this video, I'm here every Monday. Make sure you smash that like button, and please also do show your support by subscribing to my channel, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. And I'd love to hear comments. I'm always looking at your comments, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you all next week, and until next time, I wish all of you clear skies. Bye-bye.